Ever since Election Day, Democrats have been having countless conversations about Joe Rogan, about the misinformation pushed on his show and an audience that is primarily male that we have been unable to reach to combat that misinformation. Now, there's been a lot of important conversations about why Democrats haven't gone on these shows traditionally, why we haven't been able to reach people in these spaces, and why we need to going forward. But that's not enough. We also have to build these spaces ourselves, because someone like Joe Rogan is oftentimes unwilling to hear an opposing point of view. And if we only let him control that audience, we're failing, especially in the instance of Ukraine, where, of course, we recently saw a clip go viral of Joe Rogan freaking out and attacking President Biden over letting Ukraine use U.S. long-range missiles to protect themselves. But it's not just that, because Rogan was triggered into a meltdown on his own show by President Zelensky in some breaking news that just came out yesterday that we need to get into, because I think it illustrates the real issue with Rogan's show and Zelensky possibly going on it. And before we do that, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our show, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into this clip of Rogan talking about the possibility of President Zelensky coming on his show, I want to check out the clip that I mentioned of Rogan freaking out over President Biden allowing the Ukrainians to defend themselves right here.
The world we're living in now, and that's LA, and that's New York, and that's a lot of places that got fucked up by incompetent people.
I don't know. I just feel safer knowing, like...
Pull this microphone with your face.
I feel safer knowing that Trump is in office.
I do too.
I feel great about it. Like, I just like.
What I don't feel safer is right now they're launching missiles into Russia.
Yeah.
How are you allowed to do that when you're on the way out? Like, the people don't want you to be there anymore. This should be like some sort of a pause for like significant actions that could potentially start World War III. Maybe that would be a good thing that we would like to avoid from a dying former president. Mm-hmm. It's the whole thing is nuts.
I mean, look, I don't know shit about politics.
Zelensky says Putin is terrified. Fuck you, man. Fuck you people. You fucking people are about to start World War III.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Russia fired a missile today.
I feel like
they fired an intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time ever. It's the first time one of those has ever been used.
That's insanity.
Fucking insanity, because those intercontinental ballistic missiles can have nukes on them. This one didn't, but if it does, the whole world changes, and it changes because of the military-industrial complex, and it changes because of the money that's going to Ukraine, and it changes because the outgoing president or whoever the fuck is actually running the country has decided to do something fucking insane.
Yeah,
fucking insane. And we're all sitting there watching it, and people are cheering it on. CNN was saying, like, finally, see what their headline was about Zelensky about Biden giving Zelensky the ability to use long-range missiles. U.S. made long-range. It's not like nobody knows where they came from. It's not like nobody knows we've been funding this. It's a proxy war. The whole thing is fucking insane. It's insane. Come to the negotiation table. Sit down. Work this out. Stop killing everybody. U.S. allows Ukraine to use long-range missiles. So what did they say? Someone had said that, like, CNN was saying that it was a good thing, which I think is how has the left gone so far crazy that they think it's a good thing to launch missiles?
Now, I wanted to start out with that clip because it just shows how misinformed Joe Rogan is. And, of course, the misinformation that he's pushing out to his audience about what President Biden is allowing Zelensky and the rest of the Ukrainian army to do, to push back against Russia, to defend themselves. This isn't starting World War III by responding to Putin's aggression. Putin, who has killed innocent Ukrainians in the numbers of hundreds of thousands. That's not an issue with Zelensky. That's defending against an invasion. Now, of course, Joe Rogan is misinformed, and we could say we need to combat that by going on his show, by talking about it, by providing real information, and I completely agree. But we can't get caught up in this idea that he is the only vessel to do so, because Joe Rogan recently shared on his show that President Zelensky offered to come on. He wanted to come on to educate Joe Rogan's audience. And what was Joe Rogan's response? Well, it's exactly what you would think.
I hope it's true. I hope it's true. They're trying to come up with some sort of a... Zelensky tried to come on.
Whoa!
Yeah, they tried to get Zelensky on. I was like, what are you talking about?
When you get an offer for somebody, they must come at your bookers or whatever.
Uh-huh.
do you like stop and like, hold on, let me think about this, whether I want to be part of the story or
100%.
not, whether it'll be interesting or not?
Well, I wanted to stay out of the presidential election shit.
Yeah,
'cause
what
it's
happened?
This is no surprise to me. Joe Rogan says he wants to stay out of these political issues. He wants to not give his perspective or give a take or get involved on issues around the war in Ukraine and Russia's invasion. But then he's pushing Kremlin talking points because he's misinformed, and he's sharing them with his audience of tens of millions to miseducate them as well. And it's crazy to me that someone with such a big audience wouldn't want someone to come on and actually educate them or their audience. That's what President Zelensky would do. President Zelensky, I think you can trust the position of the person leading his nation pushing back against Putin. And so while I think this conversation about Democrats going into traditionally conservative spaces, going into these manosphere podcasts is important, we should be on Rogan. We should go on Theo Vaughn. We should engage in all of these spaces, of course, without question. But we also have to understand that we need to build our own, because Joe Rogan doesn't really want our opinion. He doesn't really want the facts. He doesn't do a great job necessarily pushing back against them when they're brought to him, right? We saw that I did a video a couple of weeks ago about Rogan responding when his lie about celebrities being paid by the Kamala Harris campaign was pointed out. He didn't like that, but he acknowledged it, but it was kind of difficult to push back against that lie. But no, we need to be building our own media ecosystems because we can't rely on those that already exist and really just serve Republicans. But of course, we need to get back to the important point of our national security and how it's being threatened by Republicans. And of course, that's happening with the Trump administration that's being put together right now. And someone who did a great job of calling that out was AOC right here.
And we haven't even gotten to Tulsi Gabbard potentially having access to national security information. And Russia loves it, loves her.
And I actually think almost more than Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard's appointment is devastating. And Tulsi Gabbard's nomination, as much as she says that she's an anti-war person, she's not.
Yeah.
She supports very pro-war individuals.
Including
abroad.
in Syria.
And let's be very clear, a Tulsi Gabbard nomination is a pro-war nomination globally. Point blank, period.
As is Donald Trump as president of the United States. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Tulsi Gabbard is such a danger to our national intelligence, international security, and I feel like the Matt Gaetz and the RFK Jr. picks, which I don't want to say are sexier, but are more interesting to the media to talk about, are the ones that have gotten the attention, while Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth, too, as well, have kind of just fallen to the sidelines, when these stories, these nominations are also incredibly dangerous, and we need to talk about them more. And it's not just Democrats saying this. Listen to Nikki Haley, who went off on Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. Now, everybody loves that she is now saying she's a Republican. But I have always said, let's look at what they've said, what their actions are. DNI, that is the president's top intelligence advisor. It's supposed to fairly represent the views of 18 separate intelligence agencies and units. It has the authority over a $100 billion annual U.S. spy budget. A $100 billion U.S. annual spy budget. And it holds sway over which secrets we declassify. That's a big deal. This is a job for an honest broker without any pronounced policy biases. So hold that thought for a second. What are the facts about Tulsi Gabbard? She opposed ending the Iran nuclear deal. She opposed sanctions on Iran. She opposed designating the Iran military as terrorists who say death to America every single day. She said that Donald Trump turned the U.S. into Saudi Arabia's prostitute. This is going to be the future head of our national intelligence. In Congress, Tulsi criticized Trump's authoritarian strike against Qasem Soleimani. Now, I will remind you, he was considered the master of death in Iran. She said he had no justification whatsoever for killing him. She tried to limit Trump's war powers against Iran. She tried to cut our annual defense budget so that we couldn't punish Iran and hinder their influence. Reminder, Iran is our #1 sponsor of terrorism, and Tulsi Gabbard was defending Iran. She went to Syria in 2017 for a photo op with Bashar al-Assad while he was massacring his own people.
When even spineless Nikki Haley is stepping up to call someone out, you know it's bad. You know it's dangerous. And we cannot just forget about these stories and all the craziness that's going to be coming out before, Donald Trump is officially inaugurated, as the Trump administration is being put together. No, we can't continue to just let things go past. We used our voices. We organized around pushing back against Matt Gaetz, and it worked. We need to do that with all of these other dangerous nominees. We have to continue to fight, and we're going to be doing that every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.